right. Okay, I think we're rolling. As soon as this goes, okay. Three guys, three different lives, same moment that they knew they can't keep doing whatever the heck they were doing. Their body wasn't changing, their lives were not that exciting, and things felt like they're going in the wrong direction. Mike started around 340 pounds. He tried the shot, it made him feel awful, and he needed something else that he could continue to do, even if there are stressful weeks or whatever else happened. That's super important. From there, we've got Lucas, 25 pounds down. Um, 25. So we got cats in the here. All right. I'm going to start over again because I can. And my cats are bothering me. That's what happens when you do live streams. You get all sorts of fun things going on. All right, kitty cats, leave me alone. I got four of them. They're running around here in my workout studio. All right, here we go. So going to do it again. Three guys, three different lives, same moment that they knew they couldn't keep doing this. Mike started at 340 pounds. He tried the shot, made him feel awful. Those Ozempic shots, the GLP ones. And I have a lot of people that come to me that don't actually get the impact results that they thought they would on theirs. So he knew that he needed to make something different, even if stressful weeks were there. And not every week is going to be a good week. Lucas, 25, moved to a new city, desk job, working 50, 60 hours a week. Weight crept up to the highest it'd been ever. And then his doctor told him that his cholesterol was high at 25. He said, this can't continue. Andy, he traveled for work. He ate fast food most weeks. His blood sugar level was starting to climb toward diabetes. And he has two teenagers at home, and they do not he just doesn't want to be the father where his dad he's the dad that watches from the sidelines. That's just not how he wants to be and show up for them. All three joined my 100-day program, The Call to Rise. They lost 98 pounds in 100 days between all of them, which is pretty fabulous. Uh, awesome results, and I'm so pleased about it. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through what they did, what worked, why it worked, how the program is built to create results for busy guys with real schedules and real life opportunities that they need to take better care of themselves, for themselves most importantly, but then the rest of their family. If if you've tried to fix your health before and it doesn't go the way you wanted to, stay with me. Okay. I'm going to be talking with a gentleman, Naveen, today. He's working out 4 days a week, walking more than ever, and the scale hasn't gone anywhere all of January. That's not great. It's not a good feeling. A lot of effort without a lot of ROI. Welcome back to Driven for Health, episode 60. I'm Coach Brian Parana. I've been doing this for 23 years. I've helped thousands of people throughout the course of my life. Exciting. I actually hired on an Olympic silver medalist in the Tokyo Games as a new client, and Kendra Harrison. She's a 100-meter hurdler. I'm pretty excited about that relationship and looking forward to getting her to LA and getting her to a gold medal. So pretty cool. That would be that's my second Olympian that I've worked with. So pretty wild. But I like to work with you. Fat loss. Let's get blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. Let's get a sustainable lifestyle. Let's get you guys shown up as a leader in your world around people that you love, around people that you care about, and the careers that you have. When work ramps up, travel hits hard. If you do travel out or you just are in the monotonous day to day life, when you get home, the kids need you. Seems to be always high. Schedule is packed, and sleep just doesn't seem to happen. And dinner is always a last minute decision, then this is where most plans fail. Most things get really challenging in this situation. We're going to look at behind the scenes of these three guys, what got them to succeed in real life with real obstacles and real situations. I'm also going to break down the 5 pillars in the Call to Rise program, show them exactly why I put them into the program in and of itself so that you get the results. The 5 pillars are the call, the forge, the fuel, the code, the brotherhood. Let's jump in. Now, I already introduced the guys briefly, but let's jump in. Mike, episode 43. You want to hear his story? Episode 43. You can pause this now and go listen. Mike is a licensed mental health counselor. He coaches men that are juggling real life challenges and trying to figure their way out of the way they feel and what's going on in their everyday life. From there, he helps people for a living. He helps guys better themselves, but he definitely wants to help himself and show up as a leader. And at 340 pounds and carrying over 300 pounds for years, he was stuck. And it definitely felt it in his workspace as well. He's tried a bunch of things. I mentioned the shot, trying to go to the gym, trying to do diet routines, and the progress that he made. He lost 30 pounds. He's was 310 on the way out. And you can again hear that in episode 43. It came from a simple structure and real accountability that I was able to set up for him to be able to be successful. And for all three of these guys, we did it through the holidays, through October to November to December into the new year. And they were able to be successful in losing that much weight, doing all natural methods, eating real foods. And yeah, it's awesome. Lucas, episode 34. He's a financial analyst, desk job, long hours. He sits a lot. And he just moved to the Cleveland area and just didn't really have any type of structure or routine or just really trying to reestablish himself into a new lifestyle. Well, he went with his weight, he gained all the way up to 236 at the top of it, and he just couldn't do it anymore. Nothing fit. He didn't have energy. He didn't like the way he looked in the mirror. And at the exit of the 100-day program, he's at 205.7. Pretty wild. Again, episode 34, you can go listen in to our conversation about how he did it. Lucas tried doing it on. He did ketos, fasting, carnivores, cutting breads, sugars, the typical 1990s Atkins routine, right? And he'd also go hard for a couple weeks, but then fall off. And that's what got him. His father actually worked with his father a couple years back, and his father referred me, and Lucas joined in. And I'm so glad he did because it's been such a difference for him. And we'll explore some of the things that he's changed as well in his life. Andy, the third gentleman, episode 53, we jump in and dive into his story. This guy lost 38 pounds, blown away. Father of two, husband, and he travels for work overseas. He's the guy that puts the down feathers in your puffy winter jackets. That's what he does. So we want him traveling, getting really good down to keep us warm. Especially, we just got done last week with 5 days of no school with my younger two kids, and the older two had only went to school twice that week. I was 0, felt like minus 13 here in Ohio. And pretty wild. And I straddled trying to work and not work at the same time. But what happened with Andy is 212 down to 174, 38 pounds. His health was the trigger. His blood sugar levels were high, and his doctor was starting to use the word diabetic around him, and he just didn't want that. Having some family history and just not wanting to create that in his now family for his younger boys either. That's just not an identity that he wanted to live with. So we were able to connect and talk about his success and why he was so successful and what really made the big difference there. Jumping into the 5 pillars and how they show up in real life. I went through a lot of effort, a lot of late nights, early mornings, waking up, staying up, trying to figure out what's the best approach for guys to be able to do this. Because a lot of them want to keep their head in the sand or they don't want to ask for directions. Those I'm a macho man, I'll just figure it out. A lot of guys have that mentality, but I've worked with a ton of guys that have just said, all right, I don't know what I'm doing here. I can't just fix my car. I need to take the car to the shop so it just gets fixed in a timely manner and I can get back to my life. And that's the whole point of hiring someone that knows what they're doing and can guide you. It's a map, a massive action plan that gets you from one place to another. So think if to describe this, you're in sunny San Diego and you want to get to New York City and drive the whole way. Now, certainly you have an idea you need to head east, but just heading east isn't going to get you to New York City. It might get you there, but again, probably not. There's so many micro decisions and tiny little lefts and rights that need to happen and along the way. So if we have a map, a massive action plan that's clearly built around what your goals are and what you want, then you can show up. And that's what the 5 pillars boiled down to. The first pillar is the call. The call is an identity shift. This is what I mean when it comes to your identity. It's how you see yourself, how you think about yourself, the story that you tell yourself in the mirror when you look there, the thought patterns that you think day in and day out, whether it's an easy breezy day or a really stressful, challenging situation. Are you a person that overcomes things? Are you a person that is gets challenged and has to take different routes or times or whatever? These are all things to pay attention to in the process here. Now, a man's habits in their day-to-day life, if they're not matching up with the person that they think that they see in the mirror or want to be seen in the mirror, for most importantly themselves, but the people around them at home, their spouse, their kids, their coworkers, their employees, then it doesn't feel right. There's a lot of friction. There's a lot of challenge in that situation that shows up. And that's the gap where a lot of guys sit, especially in their 40s or 50s. They've been buried with work responsibilities, buried with family responsibilities. I'm going to be sitting on Friday. I'm going to be timing for about 5 hours at my son's swim meet. My two older boys, Levi and Everett, swim and I get to volunteer, which is great because I'm going to be there anyways. But again, that's 5 hours of swimming plus the meet that we have on Wednesday night. That's good 2.5 to 3 total hours of time commitment. Oh, yeah. And my other kids have things going on too. And so time is challenging, responsibilities grow, and you decide what kind of a man you are and how you show up moving forward and how you act day to day. That's the call. That's your identity. Now, Mike's call, he carried a belief that his life would open up once he got to a certain weight. He wanted to be outside, be outside with his kids. He wanted the outside of his body to match the way he thought about himself inside. He wants to make sure that when guys work with him for mental health, that Mike gives that visual congruency around being a leader and being strong and powerful, and being able to lead guys from the challenges that they have. And being healthy and fit definitely allows that alignment. So his call was deciding that he's done waiting. I was a guest on his podcast and we talked about taking care of yourself and why that's important to mental health for his podcast, The Dad and Neil, it's called. You can look it up. He does great, amazing work. But he just said, hey, I want to talk to you afterwards about your program. And then he booked a call and we talked and it was a good fit. And 30 pounds down, it worked. Lucas, his call was the cholesterol. High cholesterol at age 25. That's not great. And that really shook him up. And he started looking around, say the office and his other coworkers and stuff. I don't want to be here. I don't want to look like this. I don't want to feel like this. And especially if other guys in their 40s or 50s are still just not in good health, overweight. He does the writing's on the wall here. He will look like that if he doesn't do things differently. It's not about the job choice, but the career path is sedentary. He just stares at numbers all day, Excel sheets and worksheets and all this. And he's really good at it. And so he's not going to leave that workforce, but he needs to make sure that he's able to not be unhealthy. So he didn't want to wait. And that's where he changed. Now, Andy was the blood sugar levels and his teenage boys. He wanted to be present with his kids and be healthy and active. And that is his identity. Okay. The quick takeaway here is these men didn't join the program because they're looking for a summer body. They joined because they were tired of the way they were showing up for themselves, most importantly, and for others around them. That's the call. Next up is we need to move the body, the engine, the forge is pillar number 2. The forge is about movement. It's about exercise training, strength training, and getting your activity in, getting your heart rate up, burning calories. And that's what about building a body is about, burning fat and having it aligned in a way that allows you to get a physical response in the body of fat loss. So when you work out, it actually, your body changes. I talked about the gentleman I'm talking to today on a phone call, consultation call. He's he just told me all the things that he's doing exercise wise, and he's eating in quotations healthy, but something's not jiving here, right? What's his workouts? How's he doing? How long is he working out? All these different questions. What are the exercises doing? Because you can go to the gym, and we've seen it so many times. People just don't change. All right. Daily movement, steps, strength training. Those are the basics that you need to get going. And the forge look like this. Well, one, we have weekly challenges with a workout routine called the Mission Brief workout. And there's other exercise challenges that I give to each of the guys individually based on their exercise history. The cool thing and the wild thing is Mike didn't really go to the gym. Lucas did, but fell in love with running. And Andy just committed to walking. The million step challenge is what we ultimately decided upon. So, Mike, his results were just about getting more exercise activity in, not even going to the gym. You just need to be more consistent and start moving there. Okay. We went to the gym maybe once or twice a week, but after that, it became more challenging for him to get there. And he wasn't that excited about the gym either. And that's a challenge is that if you're not excited about what you're doing, it's unlikely that you can be able to sustain doing it. Therefore, we need to find the best approach for what works for him. Multiple times, I would get a picture of his watch on the golf course. All right, cool. Let's golf and walk as much as possible to do that. The other thing that we did is he had a knee challenge, and that was something that we had to navigate in the second half of our 100 days. To There's just a lot of knee pain from just age, weight, and you might need a knee replacement. And you can hear us going over that stuff in his episode, but he stuck with it, and we'll certainly talk about how he made changes in his nutrition. But the important part is that Mike didn't rely on being motivated. We found a process, a system, say the golf course, to be the way for him to be able to move his body. Lucas, Lucas leaned into steps first and foremost. We got some simple exercise routines and the Mission Brief workout. That was just a more of a boot camp, a CrossFit Metcon, metabolic conditioning style, lots of reps and sets in a circuit fashion. And then he fell in love with running. And I encouraged him to join a running club in his area, and he did. And he started. We talk about how he has dreams of doing a marathon this year, And we're talking about Columbus, which is in October. So pretty cool shift from not running at all to actually wanting to move his body and do bigger, wild things for himself. Andy, this is the best example of just committing to movement every day and how that changes. He came up with the million step challenge. He said, Brian, I'm 89 days of 10,000 steps. I'm almost ready to take a million steps. I said, this is crazy. What do you mean? It's like, all right, simple math 10,000 steps over 100 days is a million steps. And that's why the million step challenge is born. And I have guys doing that all the time with me, just as a source of accountability. But he committed to that and he would work out a little bit. He's working out more in the gym now that he's at his ideal body weight to start building on muscle. And it's wild the difference that you see from where he was at. I'm not gonna lie, he looked like a 55-year-old man sitting at the pool that was overweight and out of shape, big belly and all. And then he's looking fit and trim in his after picture. And that's what happens when you drop that much weight. And again, it was just consistently showing up every day and checking the box because there's a bunch of accountability boxes to check every day to make sure you're doing the things that work. Next up is pillar number 3, and this is the fuel. This is nutrition. This is not a meal plan. I don't do meal plans. Meal plans keep me very busy. They're very 1980s or 1990s ish. I build everything off of nutrition, science backed information, then implement it into the diet, the foods that you eat. Then that creates the lifestyle, the look, the feel, the body that you want to live in every day. You should be able to enjoy your food. You should be able to go on the fly with it. There's a lot of moderation, balance, and flexibility that fits into this pillar. And I live it every day. I have 4 kids. Life is crazy busy. And therefore, I am an example of how you can have flexibility in it and you don't have to eat the same things on repeat. There's basic principles of how much protein, carbs, and fats you should have, how many calories you should have. And then it's my job to help figure out how to make sure that works inside your day to day. This is where most guys get really confused is they're always looking for the perfect plan. Just tell me I'm going to use ChatGPT. To be honest, Danny, you can hear in some of the live coaching calls that I have. I had one that was just recent. It was episode 56. Danny and I talk about how he used ChatGPT in his program. He got nowhere. And now he's from 240 to 220 in a little less than 2 months. And the dude's on a fast track for success. He's Danny is like another Andy, and I will have Danny on his own podcast episode sharing the things that worked for him so that you get more insights of how this works. Okay. But nutrition is huge. Some guys track their food, others were working off of better portions, better timing, and each guy had a different approach. And that's the cool part is that I'm very flexible in an opportunity. And you don't have to do just one way. We're trying to figure out what is the best way for you. If someone has a high A1C or managing blood sugar levels, I might go about different approach than someone that's dealing with high cholesterol, as well as someone that just doesn't have any blood panel issues and they just are overweight, as opposed to someone that doesn't like a lot. Andy will talk about here in a moment. So, Mike, his Mike was funny. He ate till 80% full. That was the magic. Certainly had structure on protein, vegetables, fruit, and starchy carbs. He fell in love with having smoothies when he was a protein smoothie when he was full. That was a really, or when he was hungry and he wanted a snack. We found that to be the best approach for him when hunger hit. And we also had to manage a lot of snacks and fast food type opportunities because he has 2 little kids, 8 and 6. They have a very busy life. He cooks a lot of dinners and he talks about having a challenging time of planning as well. So those are things that I had to work around. But a simple thing that I said was just let's just eat till 80% full balancing our meals as best as possible. And that's what he did. And it made a game changer. So, simple phrase stuck in his head. And he said, I can do this. And that's what he did. Lucas, his fueling strategy, we had clear targets. He needed to eat about 1,800 calories a day. He tracked his food, his macros, and all, and he would share those every single day with me to stay accountable. I also taught him a significant amount about nutrition, what's in the food he's eating, what are good combinations of those foods, portion control, timing, all these things that matter when it comes to putting nutrition together. I have the nutrition pyramid that goes from episodes 5 through 11. Let's rewind to the forge pillar. And those, I have a strength pyramid that starts talking around episode 17 to 23. So there's science backed information that you can use and listen to those episodes to start implementing this stuff yourself or join the call to rise. But with Lucas, we had very clear goals, targets. Now he hung out with friends. He went to burgers and beers. He had weekends challenges that we had to figure out. But he had his day to day life too, and how that worked and how that managed for him every day. Andy's fuel strategy, this is funny. He barely ate any vegetables at all. It was something we tried, and we tried different ways, but ultimately we settled into having protein, fruit, and surgy carbs and a controlled calorie amount. Andy did track as well his calories and macros, and he would share those with me, especially in the first half of the program. And after that, he was just kept losing weight like gangbusters. I mean, you lose a lot of weight when you're 38 pounds down and not doing it with meds or drugs or anything weird. It's literally just food and movement and a better mind game for him to live this out. That was the coolest part. And he traveled. We would navigate some of his travel strategies on how he managed his food. And that was really an important piece of this. Now, Andy is confident. He can go anywhere, a date night with his wife, family outing with his kids, a work steakhouse event with clients, doesn't matter. And again, remember, these guys went through the holidays with all those treats and snacks and things that we did. Now, pillar number 4 is the code. This is mindset. This is the structure. This is your day to day life of how you think. And the simplest definition I can give you is mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you interpret your life and how you respond to what's happening to you. If your mindset is, I don't trust myself, I don't do the things I say that I'm going to, then you have a big uphill battle against yourself. That's a huge problem and a huge stressor for you. Okay. We have to rebuild trust from the get-go so that you are internally successful and you believe those things that you do. That's why the code, the mindset piece is a part of the program I teach and get people's heads straight. Okay. If you, it's all between your ears, anyways. Everything else in your life is just an action of the thought processes that you had. And that's where coaching matters and understanding that every single person I work with is an individual and they have their strengths, their weaknesses, their positives, their negatives, the things that we need to build up and the things that we don't need to focus on so much. And that's how I coach everyone individually to be successful. Mike's code, Mike had years of frustration tied to the scale. And a win for Mike was learning how to be consistent. And you'll hear he identifies with being ADD and squirrel and all that. Oh, let's do this or shiny object. And I kept having to remind him, Mike, you just need to be consistent. These are the things that we're doing. We're eating controlled amount of food. We're eating portions. We're eating combinations of food of protein, vegetables, and starchy carbs, and it works. And he consistently, we kept calling him back to it, but it worked. And now being 30 plus pounds down, that energy and the attitude around his identity, the call pillar, his identity as being a leader in his mental health space, allows him to step up and give the guys more than he had before because he's in control. Lucas, his code, willpower fades. Motivation isn't there. He had extreme diet for 2 weeks and then weight comes back on. And we had to break him of that habit. There was constantly throughout the time, and again in episode 34, we talk about it. We went through a number of times where what happens when I'm done with this program? How do I maintain progress? How do I stay successful? And those are things what like we're just going to keep doing the things that worked. That's the whole process that I have you compounds into normal everyday life. And that's, I guess, a unique piece of the program that I have. So he bounces his meals, he manages calories, and he doesn't track all the time anymore. He still has some weight to lose, so we're managing those last 10 pounds, and then he doesn't need to do it anymore. Okay. We also figured out for him his mindset around how he approached activities with friends, how he was with screens at night. We had to really change it a lot, how he would manage information overload and lack of sleep and hit cravings, and how staying on a structured routine was important for him. We even got him to put screens away an hour before bed consistently, not just doom scroll. That's huge. He got hours in a week back to his life that he could sleep more and be more rested and be more functional and fit in a sense to manage work and then the rest of the things in his life. Andy's code, Andy's biggest challenge was time. Having two kids, being gone a lot. He also believed that he didn't really have time for what the program asked. And that's the point, is that nothing was going to change in the next 10 years of his life. This is what it is. It's a day-to-day hustle of him working, managing kids, and trying to be successful with life. And that's really important to be able to manage and know that when you are busy, it's 5 times more important to be more structured. And that's super important. So we set up strong priorities and got him to think differently and through a different lens in which he views things. That's the code. Okay. Now, the biggest pillar, I believe, is the brotherhood, the community and accountability and support that you get coming into the program. Most guys try to fix their health alone, right? Just never ask for direction. I'm just gonna go to the gym 5 times harder. I'm just gonna have an accountability buddy. I'm gonna make my wife make me healthy meals. Good luck. That's not that's not just not it. It's not even taking good responsibility for yourself. And isolation, I find so many men in their 40s and 50s are isolated. They live the same day to day. They're in this rat race in a sense and this hustle mode, and they don't pay attention to themselves and they don't oftentimes take care of themselves and their health, which is the pinnacle of everything. So if you are in a community of other men that build you up. Oh, Andy is on his 89th day of walking, and you're someone new that just came in. That gives you motivation, that gives you that competitiveness, that inner drive to be successful and make things happen, which is so important. And it's also a safe environment. Men's mental health is not talked about. Sure, in the last 20 years or so, there's been a lot more about men's mental health, but not really. And men struggle just as much as women and have challenges around what's going on in their day to day life. And that is something that's really important. And Mike noted that the weekly call was some of the most valuable part of the program. Is when he had questions, he could get answers. He could message me privately in the app and get solutions to the situations that he was having. He was able to regroup and have connection with guys. Lucas was about bringing into a new community and having bringing in a run club and opening himself up to new opportunities with different people. That's important. And that changed who he was from the internal. With Andy, the brotherhood was a super easy way for him to stay consistent. He knew that other guys were depending on him to keep the streak alive. And as soon as he had the streak, then he was able to start moving toward it quite a bit more and keep the consistent going, even if he was tired, even if he wasn't motivated, even if it was a late night and he only had a couple thousand steps and he needed to get a couple thousand more. As we wrap, the pattern across all three of these guys is we zoom out. Mike needed structure and accountability, and we were able to find that. We would give him simple, easy things to implement, and it made him successful. With Lucas, he needed structure and more identity. He needed consistency around creating new relationships, around consistency of numbers. Since he was a numbers guy, I gave him strong numbers to implement on. And then Andy needed a plan that worked around his travel, his life schedule with his family, and find a way to be consistent in taking the actions he needed. Different men, same system, and different shared experiences here. And that's what's super important here is that they had a clear reason to change. There's daily movements as far as standards of getting in the 10,000 steps and some exercise. There's repeatable nutrition framework that builds upon itself every single day, every week, every month, so that when you're done with 100 days, you know what you're doing. There's structure around and support around days that are challenging and you just don't want to do it or don't have time or anything. And that's where the support and accountability keeps this alive. It's such a living thing. It's a living being in a sense, is the call to rise. So, if who is this for? This is for guys who are busy, guys who are frustrated, guys who are lacking progress in their health. They know that they're running out of time. Average male is 76 years of life. And if you are going in your 40s, overweight, and have bad blood panels, you're in trouble. And that's scary. I'm 43. I don't want to be 70% done with this life. My kids need me. My wife needs me. My four cats that are running around making noise. I don't know if you can hear it on the audio, but man, they are shaking the table and stirring up a storm here and causing distraction for me as I talk to you this thing. But this is my real life. If you jump into episode 59, my son was in the later half of it that popped in something. And that's my life. I have four kids. I've got five animals, four cats and a dog, and all sorts of different things. And it just is. So my call out to you is that if you've been trying to get your health in order so that you can just live the rest of your life in a healthy body with the energy that you need to do the things that need done in your busy life, you don't understand nutrition as much as you think you do. Sure, you love to work out, but you really aren't that active. Or maybe you are active and it's still not working. Then consider the call to rise. There's a brotherhood, there's structure, there's rhyme, there's reason to what we do, why we do. And you have an expert in this field that has only done this one thing for his whole career. And that's the magic of the coach and Coach Brian. Visit thecalltorise.com, read about the program, fill out a form, an application, and we can talk to see if this is a good fit for you. You don't need an app. You don't need another diet. You don't need another supplement. You don't need a plan that works for a couple weeks. You don't need a fast, a cleanse. You don't need your body's support for a couple weeks or trying to get your wife to get you motivated or something. You need a real solution to your real life. I'm Coach Brian Prana signing out for this episode of Driven for Health.